Okay, hello everyone. This is our tutorial session. We are recording it again and trying to go through it again because unfortunately it has been deleted previously. So we will try and see if we can make these things stick around a little bit longer. So this is your e-safety tutorial. To start off with, just to let you know that this is not my presentation. However, I will be presenting. So you can have this and we will be going through. Recordings are here, but the PowerPoints will be given to you at a different location. So what's really important is watching this video initially. I will put it in the link underneath in the description so that you can see what it is like, and it would look like this. And based on this is created by the Counter-Terrorism Policing in the UK. You watch the 1.29, so 1 minute 30-second video, and we will be able to discuss what we're finding out as a result of this afterwards when we have our one-to-one tutorials where we'll be able to speak to each other. Please watch it and consider what is happening, who the individual is, what do you think is happening, what kind of issues do you think there might be in the background, and simply come with your thoughts about it, and we will go through and see where you are with your thoughts, how much of your thoughts may be actual reality, how much of it might be things I haven't thought about. There'll be often times when I haven't thought about the things that you mention, and so it's really important that we speak to each other about it all. So please watch the Staying Safe Online and see what you think. Returning to the PowerPoint. So some of the things that will come from that video, but also further on, just generally that we would like to talk about, is know who you're talking to on the internet. And this is obviously going to sound a little bit ironic considering the fact that I'm speaking to you on the internet, but the idea is to think about when you're communicating with somebody, you need to be careful. It says meeting someone you have only been in touch with online can be dangerous. Only do so with your parents or your carer's permission, and even then, only when they can be present. Remember, online friends are still strangers even if you've been talking to them for a long time. And this is the case, in the way that you don't know who the other person on the other side of the screen is. And you will know me simply because I teach you, but if I was somebody else, and for all of those who might be visiting, not being one of my tutors or students, you wouldn't know me from anybody else. So you need to be careful that as a young person, and also as you get older, you need to consider who you're communicating with, what kind of communication you're participating in. Getting information from somebody and then moving on is an effective form of learning sometimes. But if you're going to be giving them your information, if you're going to be sharing things about you, you need to be really careful to think about, am I happy for anybody in the world to know this? If you're not happy for anybody in the world to know this, you have to be really clear about who you're communicating with. So sometimes it might be best to get a parent or a carer to come with you, or to be on the sidelines, to be able to keep you safe should something happen. And then over time, you can decide whether or not that is something that you can do without their presence, with their consent, for example. Okay? The other thing, as I was saying, it tips onto this, is don't give out your personal information. So don't give out your personal information when you're chatting or posting online. Personal information can include your email address, your phone number, your password. This means that you can be easily hacked, or information about you can go anywhere else. And you wouldn't want anybody presenting themselves as you, for example. So you have to be careful with your personal information. It is getting more and more difficult to keep your personal information to yourself, if you might get hacked. But if you try not to give that out, then obviously you prevent a little bit of that already. Not everything online is true. Yes, sadly, as we see more and more ability to be able to manipulate different things, you don't know what is happening all the time. Someone online might lie to you about who they are, and the information on the internet may not be true. A lot of information you can see even using your Snapchat, there are filters, and Instagram and all of those things. You can filter things in and out and change your face, change other people. And so you need to be careful, because who you might be communicating with may not be honest, unfortunately. So it's better to be cautious than it is to be unsafe. Always check information by looking at other websites, in books, or with someone who knows. If you're chatting online, it's best only to chat with to your real world friends and family until you know how to go through the online world otherwise. It says protect children and vulnerable. It's really important that children and vulnerable adults can be contacted by bullies and people who want to groom and radicalize or seek to abuse them. And so it's really, you have to be more careful. If you know that perhaps you've been told that you are sort of a little bit more naive and you can get yourself into trouble because you're more trusting, maybe have somebody else support you in your online relationships, so that you don't get too close to individuals, and you know who to trust and who not to trust. Make sure you protect your online reputation. Use the tools provided by online services to manage your digital footprint, and think before you post. Content posted online can last forever, and it could be shared publicly by anyone, and you don't want to be in a position whereby you've shared something when you're angry or you're upset and it was a mistake. And unfortunately, it's there to follow you into your work life, into your personal life, into later life, 10, 30 years from now. Unfortunately, as we are having everything saved, you might have to sort of try and delete that. And we can't delete our mistakes sometimes if it's online. So it's better in a way almost to make your mistakes in reality and not have anybody record it, not have anybody sort of post about it. We will all make mistakes. And as a young person, you are likely to make mistakes, because otherwise, how will you grow? But you don't want that to be there as your mistake that will be remembered when you go for your job interview, as you become a manager, or you start running a company or creating a company, or, you become that important individual in the healthcare industry or the social care industry or other industries. You don't want that going and coming up later on. It says help. Know where to find help. Now, it's really important that you understand how to report to the service providers and use blocking and deleting tools. If something happens that upsets you online, it's never too late to tell someone. It is never, ever too late. 5 minutes from it happening, 5 hours from it happening, 5 weeks from it happening, 5 months from it happening. It's never too late to tell somebody that something has gone wrong, and people will support you, okay, to make sure that you do the right thing and you come out of that. And it won't be your fault if somebody has bullied you. It will not be your fault if somebody has harmed you. Okay, so get help and find out. Come to your tutor, such as myself, or the student services as well. But you need to speak to someone. It's always important to speak to someone and find out that maybe you were overcautious than it is to kind of find out later on that you should have said something and it would have made your life much better, or the lives of other people much better. It says don't give in to pressure. Don't be pressured into doing something you know is wrong. Okay, you have a gut feeling that will tell you this is not the right thing to do, and that gut feeling you have to follow. Should you not follow your gut, you will often come back and regret it. So try and follow your gut. You know yourself, you know other people, and you can feel it sometimes, okay? But if you can't, also you know the laws of the land. If it's not right, if you're going to be breaking the law, or you're going to be doing something that is against the college rules or organizational rules, you know you're doing something wrong. So if it's something you wouldn't tell your friends and family about, it's probably something you shouldn't be doing, okay? Because you want to live your life twice. You want to live your life once by doing everything, and the second time by remembering all the good things and the right things you did. You don't want to live your life thinking about all the ways you broke the rules and got yourself into trouble in a way that will be damaging to you, okay? You must you must only break rules once you know all of them and you know what you're doing with them and why you're breaking them. You don't break the rule while you're getting yourself into trouble. Let's go to the next one. Check that the content is appropriate. Age inappropriate or unreliable content can be available to children, and it's very, very dangerous for yourselves while you're children, until you reach 18, or for other people who are children. So be careful who you're sharing your information with, and make sure that if somebody shares information with you that is not age appropriate, you also tell someone, because you having that information, those images, those messages, unfortunately you will get into trouble as much as them for sending it. So it's really important that if you're not sure that something is right, just check in with someone and make sure that you're on the right track. Only open messages from sources you trust. This is where we talked about if you're going to receive images that are inappropriate or messages that are inappropriate, you need to make sure that the first thing you do is you don't open them in the first place. If you don't know the person who's sending the message, you don't open the message. You can just delete. So be careful. You shouldn't be accepting emails, messages, or opening files, images, or text from people you don't know or trust, because these things can lead to problems. They may contain viruses or unpleasant messages or images, and unfortunately, you having them, obviously it will work on your mind and it will also be upsetting. Speak to someone if you feel uncomfortable. Tell a parent, carer, or a trusted adult if someone or something makes you feel uncomfortable or worried. And if you or someone you know is potentially being radicalized online or being upset online, then you need to tell someone. Start with your tutor, like myself, for example. Keep it safe. Use safety tools on social networks and online services such as Facebook privacy settings. Now, I appreciate that some of you may think Facebook is very old, so more like Snapchat or any of the other new social media sites that you're using. Tell me about it when we meet up, because I'm an older person, so I may not know the newer things, but I need to keep track. It says conduct. Children may be at risk because of their behavior, for example, sharing too much information. Make sure you only share the information that we've talked about. And when we meet, we will discuss what kind of information might be appropriate, what kind of information might not. So you can tell me and we can decide between ourselves what is right and what is not right to be sharing. There is a page here. There are a number of links which I'll copy and paste into the description area, I believe. And there is another video. The video will be, I believe, looking like this. It says Safe Share, and it's sharing stories, Hollyoaks, and Prevent. And the way that works is it's over here, but I will share that with you. What is really important is there are some useful links for you. Now, some of this seems to be going down the area of terrorism and extremism. Now, this is one area that we need to consider because, we will need to talk about it. But there are also other areas that we need to consider when we're talking about e-safety. It's about talking about it, getting guidance, making sure that you are staying away from stress and trauma, going to the NSPCC or Childline, Stop Small Steps. All of these things all are catering for the same aspect. So what we've been doing and what we've been looking at is we're talking about e-safety online, and there are some videos that you need to watch. They will be in the description, and when we meet together, we will be able to discuss this in whole. But I wanted to send this to you initially so that you've got a setup before we meet. Thank you, and I'll be signing off.